hit you up, I'm talking about bang or something. Chill off in your crib and have a bang while the niggas stank or something. Heard you like my father bid, post my bill, wait for my lawyer. Play your position, make the mother hoes get out of order. When you wanna
Originally, TJ Dillashaw was set to return on May 8th after his 2-year USADA suspension against CORY SANDHAGEN. However, Dillashaw ended up sustaining a nasty cut and was forced to pull out of the bout. Now, according to MMA Junkie, Dillashaw vs. Sandhagen has been rebooked to headline the July 24th show. TJ Dillashaw has not fought since he suffered a 32-second TKO loss to Henry Cejudo in January of 2019 for the flyweight title. Prior to that, he had back-to-back KO wins over Cody Garbrandt to reclaim and defend his title. This past weekend, some of Khabib's words about Tony Ferguson from his little publicized 2019 autobiography, Khabib Time, have gotten some attention. In those passages shared by Smesh Jiu-Jitsu Only on Twitter, Khabib criticized Ferguson's character, attitude, and upbringing. Here's a section from Khabib's autobiography on Tony Ferguson. Sometimes I felt certain gratitude towards the guy. I've already written that my desire to return after 3 years of severe injuries and having almost decided to end my career was ignited because my overwhelming impulse to meet El Cucuy and punch him on the head so that he would look at life differently. That was the way it was. The possibility of finally silencing this poorly brought up dude became one of the main reasons for my returning to the cage. I have a set of emotions towards this guy like those that would flood the streets of Makocella at the age of 16 or 20. When I saw in front of me an impudent lout who was boasting how strong he was, I never had missed the opportunity to thrash such a smartass and at the same time to check which of his claims about his abilities was true. So I looked at Ferguson and continued to do so with eyes full of sarcasm and anger. I assure you that my attitude promised nothing good for Tony. I myself like to tweet something against a future opponent of experts on Twitter or Instagram posts, but what El Cucuy does cannot be supported in any way. It is pure dirt. I gradually formed a particular contempt for Ferguson as a person. To be precise, as a person. I think it is wrong to treat him badly from a sporting point of view. He is a fine fighter, a winner, a champion in my division for a period, and the possessor of one of the longest winning streaks in the UFC. He is definitely a great athlete. However, a completely mediocre upbringing and the behavior it has generated makes him sometimes merely a non-entity. Tony Ferguson recently suffered his third loss in a row, this time to Beneil Dariush at UFC 262 last weekend. Despite the recent retirement talk, Ferguson claimed on Twitter that he has no plans of retiring anytime soon. Here's the tweet. It ain't over yet, McGavin. The way I see it, we've only just begun. Happy Gilmore, retire and give these motherfuckers a break? No, not on my watch. Now I'm pissed. CSO, thank you hardcore for picking me up when I was down. Champ, hashtag finding my happy place, hashtag gold jacket. Speaking on the recent episode of Believe You Me podcast, Michael Bisping gave his thoughts on why he believes Tony Ferguson cannot compete with the top UFC lightweights. Here's what he said.
It was a tough night for Tony Ferguson, but if you look at Tony Ferguson Saturday night, he's always lean, right? But he looked particularly skinny, if you will. And I say skinny with hesitancy because it's obviously kind of an insulting term to use, but he did look particularly lean on Saturday night. And I think what happened was the pressure of losing those two fights. Of course, he's 37, not getting any younger, but the pressure caused him to train so fucking hard that he overtrained and it had a detrimental effect. And when you're taken down, of course you need technique. If you're going to get back to your feet, if you're going to hit a sweep, get a submission, you need technique. but also being strong and powerful definitely helps. And I feel that if Tony wasn't, and I don't know if he was overtrained, but he looked like a man that was overtrained to me. And he did it. Tony does have the belief. Of course he does, right? And everyone out there can have the belief. I always talk about this. Confidence is the most important thing, right? I drive that home all the time. You've got to have your self-belief. If you haven't got the self-belief, you've already lost. The mind is the most important tool, the most powerful muscle in the body and all the rest of it. And that's true. But you also need the physicality as well. In fighting, of course, the confidence, the mind, all the rest of it is a huge factor. But if the body, and pardon the expression, is past the sell-by date, if the chin is past the sell-by date, if you've been through many wars, if you've taken too much damage and you've got too much wear and tear to the system, then having all the belief in the world isn't going to help you.
Speaking on the DC and Helwani show, Ariel Helwani discussed what's next for Tony Ferguson following his Saturday's UFC 262 loss to Beneil Dariush. Here's what he said.
Tony Ferguson has to be the story here. I don't want to take anything away from Beneil. 7 in a row. It was a great performance. He did not get, he did not deserve to get booed. That was crazy. But that's now 3 in a row for El Cucuy. And this game can be a cruel one. And he got, the fact that he didn't submit, he didn't tap out to that ankle lock, that heel hook, that was insane. If you get old in the NBA, you're kind of sitting at the end of the bench and you kind of just like phase out, you ride off into the sunset. Same with other sports. But there is nowhere to hide in this organization, and so that's why it feels like almost every week now we're seeing, and oh, by the way, we saw with Jacare on the same card, we're seeing these guys, face this harsh reality that Father Time is undefeated and it doesn't play favorites. And you could be an OG of the game, you could be a legend of the game, you can have a great story like Tony's, you can have heartbreak and all this stuff. It doesn't matter. It doesn't pick and choose. It doesn't discriminate. And so it's hard to see these things happen. While you're happy for Beneil, who's putting it all together, it's hard to see Tony in the state. And if I'm being honest, DC, it's a little reminiscent, this particular story is a little reminiscent of Tyron Woodley, right? Where you feel like he can't get out of a certain gear, where he's not pulling the trigger like he once did, and he just doesn't look like himself anymore. And so I agree with you. Like, Anthony Smith, we talked about this. He took several steps back, and I don't want to pick on a Devin Clark, but it's like, all right, you took some steps back, you fought an unranked guy, a top 25 guy, to build your confidence back up. I'm not ready to say that Tony Ferguson is done, should be released, should be, cut, should retire, all this stuff. But, he's been fighting a murderer's row. It's now time for him to fight an unranked guy. Dominic Cruz did well. He fought Casey Kenny, unranked, super tough, got the win, got the mojo back. Tony Ferguson needs to do that to find out if he's still got it to a certain degree.
Chris Weidman broke his leg last month at UFC 261 when the first leg kick he threw against Uriah Hall was checked and resulted in Weidman's right leg snapping in half. The former UFC middleweight champion has been regularly updating his fans on social media about the status of his leg, and recently he posted a positive health update, where he also shared a picture of his good leg and his bad leg. Check out the post. Pain is getting way more tolerable while standing, thank God. The blood flows into my leg is still insane when I have to get up, as you can see the difference in colors. The doctor said because blood vessels and veins are damaged from the trauma, the blood has a hard time traveling back up the body, fighting gravity. And again, thank you for all the love and support. Blown away. P.S. Don't make this post about my toenails. I've been neglecting my feet the last 12 years of walking around mats all day barefoot. I just got a script of drops to put on nails. Hopefully that helps.